Thanks for tuning in again, everybody. We're back with your favorite podcast, Luca's Tigers and Bronze. Oh my. So, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, Luca's Tigers and Bronze. Oh my. Welcome back, Luca Nation. Hope you guys are ready for some football tonight. Hope you guys took a minute to listen to our NFL preview episode yesterday. If you haven't, go ahead and listen. Lots of cool stuff in there, lots of nuggets. Unless, of course, you happen to be a Jaguars or a Broncos fan. I kind of did you both dirty. Sorry about that. But so, what do you got for us today, Andrew?
Welcome back, Luca Nation.
It looks like it might rain, so look at that smile, ear-to-ear smile.
I love the Toronto Celtics game yesterday. I want to talk a little bit about Kyle Lowry and the grit of the Raptors. I want to talk about Michael Porter. Did you see his press conference at all? If not, what he basically said, and I thought he did a good job, but people are ripping him on the internet. And if you guys haven't watched it, I would go back and watch it. He basically gets asked by a reporter, like, you looked a little bit frustrated out there, or, what's going on. And he said, Jamal Murray and Jokic, they're amazing players, but this is a different team that we're playing. We're not playing the Jazz this round. We're playing the Clippers, and this team can't be beat with predictable offense. And it's, man, Cage, how many times have I talked about the pick and roll, the simplistic offense of the Nuggets, how literally it's Jamal Murray running pick and rolls.
I don't like how Porter did it. I don't like how Porter spoke up about it. Who was it? Jay Williams? I think somebody posted
yes.
Kind of like hey, he did it the wrong way, but what he's saying is right. You know what? He'll learn. He's young. But what's ultimately going to come from that is he is right. And I think anybody with a basketball mind sees he's right. His coaches probably know he's right. They don't love that he did it the way he did it. But
well, Cage, let's role play.
They're going to scheme for him, right?
Let's role play a little bit here.
Yep.
Pretend you're the coach. You're Coach Malone. I'm Michael Porter Jr. That's what I say. I wholeheartedly see nothing wrong with what he said. I don't care if he speaks to the press. I don't care where he speaks.
No, he should be saying it to me. You should be saying it to your coach separately. I give your coach a chance to not be blindsided by hearing it the first time in the media. Whether you're right, wrong, or indifferent. You played sports. You can't embarrass your coach or your team like that.
So you, as Coach Malone, feel embarrassed by that? You feel like I undercut you?
Yeah, 100%. Even if he's right. There are certain things that make these teams work, right? This is like an army here, right? These are people that, 82 games plus the playoffs. You're going to war with these guys. They have to have your back, and there are certain things you don't take outside of the team, right? It's like, he pulled a Sonny Corleone, right? You never tell somebody outside the family what you're thinking. You never take sides against your family, right? I mean, that's what did in both of them. Did in Fredo too. I don't want to say Michael Porter Jr. is a Fredo because, it remains to be seen what he turns out to be. But there's my movie reference, of course. Everybody got to sneak one of those in. But yeah, I mean, listen, I will not take issue with anything he said. And it's funny because you've been saying it all along. Just the method of doing it. And that's part of growing up. He's a young kid.
Let me level with Luca Nation here. So, guys, when I played soccer. I played soccer for Drexel. As much as this is a frustrating lesson, when I watched that video, I saw a little bit of myself in Michael Porter Jr. there, because the dude just wants to win. The dude wants the ball in his hands, and he knows he could perform better, and he knows the team has more potential. But learn this lesson from me, and the sooner you learn it, the more success you'll have. There's this amazing book by Robert Greene. It's called 50 Laws of Power. And it talks about how to properly communicate is number one, but when there's people above you or they're perceived to be above you, things like that can cause divide and friction no matter how pure the intentions are, right? Like Michael Porter is out there. He's not trying to criticize Coach Malone, Jamal Murray, or Jokic or the organization, but the perception of how it comes off has ripple effects that if you're able to learn this at a younger point in your life, I think you're going to have a tremendous amount of success. And I think that's the bigger lesson there. And I've experienced it in my life, and I failed so many times, and I fell flat on my face doing some similar things like that. So it's really interesting how it doesn't matter if that's in the corporate world or in the professional sports world, it's going to keep coming up.
No, it's 100% accurate. And I mean, listen, that's the takeaway from that series, that the Clippers are gonna win that rest of those out. I don't think the Nuggets are doing anything. But how about, there's been two good predictions here. I mean, somebody, even when it was 2-0 already, Boston, somebody on this podcast said that that Boston-Toronto series was going 7. So take a bow, my co-host. You were 100% right about that. And if Luca Nation likes to listen to us, I heard somebody else say go and pick up those Marcus Smart cards, you know, for $1, $2, or $3. I think $15 for a nice green one, you know, with the cool color in the background. The Celtics color was what we said. But that dude had a game last night. I got to say, though, you know, since that pick, obviously I've been watching a little more. I mean, he had a great big shot at the end there, and, you know, he had a triple-double. It's like watching a soccer player out there. He flops a lot, doesn't he?
There is this amazing Buster posted this on Hoops Nation. There's this meme with 2 Spider-Men, and he said Kyle Lowry and Marcus Smart guarding each other, and they're just laying flat on their back. Go to Hoops Nation.
Right, like
you'll
pointing
see
at
post.
each other.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Cool stuff. He
puts
the,
good content.
Seriously, a lot of the stuff. I mean, I watch the game and I'm like, why does he keep falling? Like, and he'll take a shot and know it's not going in, and he'll just like throw himself on the ground. I guess he's trying to draw a foul. Hey, Luca Nation, I'm about to pass about 8 police officers doing some damage control here, so it's gonna get noisy.
Let's stay on. Let's come back to MPJ real quick, because I'm looking at tweets, and I want you to give a take. I know it's a little bit loud back there, but Dame came out and he said, "If you know, you know." He is wrong. And Dame was probably in this position a lot in his career. So what is it, Cage? Like, what is the right way to go about that when you have a point where his actual point is spot on, but the delivery is wrong? Just talk about that for a second.
Well, I mean, listen, you have to know your role, right? And, you know, Dame has almost earned the ability now to be the guy with the ball in his hand, and if he's not, to be able to say, I should have the ball in my hand, right? Michael Porter Jr. is not there yet, right? Michael Porter Jr. has to realize that he wasn't even a starter for, you know, other than a couple games during bubble time and playoffs, right? So, and I'm not just talking about basketball, and I know you're not either. You're talking about life, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a hierarchy to things, right? And if you're right, but you are on the lower end of that hierarchy, the lower end of the pyramid, it's your job to, with respect and deferentially, explain to the person directly above you, because not only is there a hierarchy, there's a chain of command, right? It's almost military-like. You have to explain to the person above you why you're right and why they should be doing something differently. And then it filters up that ladder, right? You don't jump a rung on the ladder, because then you're disrespecting your direct manager. You know, Michael Porter Jr. should go to the coach. He shouldn't go to the GM or the team owner, you know? Same kind of thing in life, same kind of thing in business. If you think your group or whatever business you're doing is doing something wrong, you go to your direct manager and say, hey, I have some ideas. I have some suggestions. Let's talk through them. You don't go to that person's boss. You don't go to the owner of the company directly, because it's just a way of doing things. And you know what? If you make your case the right way, then you get buy-in. Look at that little music in the background there. You get buy-in from the right folks, and you know, and that's the way you make change. At least it's worked for me in life. So, make sense?
I mean, so when I worked for Gary, about 3 months in, I was selling Empathy Wines, which is his wine project.
Yeah, just sold big, right? It's a Constellation brand.
Sold big. Well, here's the thing. I was putting up buckets like Michael Porter Jr., but I was only 3 months in, and I didn't earn my stripes. And what I wanted to do was for people who purchased a large amount of wine, over $1,000, to invite them into their office and learn about their business, put them on my personal podcast, and get their story. And to me, that's a brilliant idea, right? It's a way for them to connect with the brand, see what we're all about, see the behind the scenes. I would be fully responsible. But a big piece of pushback was from actually the people, his employees. They're like, who are you to do that? You've been here for only 3 months. And going about things the right way, that's the short story. And maybe I'll do an episode and we'll go back and forth and we'll elaborate on that story and what actually played out from there. But what I learned, or maybe what I experienced, was there is a right way to do things and there's a wrong way to do things. And then there's a right way to go about doing those things and getting buy-in from everyone within the organization. Just because you see a vision and you see how things should be done doesn't mean that everyone else does. and just going and doing it on like a lone ranger. You know, they say if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And here's my play. You're going to love my play. It's out of right field.
So let me ask you, what if I told
Yeah.
you in this run-up that's happened the last few months, there was a player who would have the ball in his hands every single play, but his cards haven't gone up. In fact, they've gone down. Would that be something that would interest you, Cage?
So a basketball player who's still around, has the ball in his hands every single play, but his cards have actually gone down.
I didn't say a basketball player.
Oh, okay. You didn't say
I
a
didn't say
basketball
a
player.
basketball player.
Well, there's not a lot of other sports where people have the ball in their
He's
hands.
being coached by a veteran coach, a Super Bowl. He has a Super Bowl coach coaching him, Super Bowl winning coach.
All right, now I got to hear it because, you know, if it's football, there haven't been any plays for him to have the ball in his hand, so I don't know what you're talking about.
But he's going to have the ball in his hand every play.
Going to have. Okay, so let me hear it.
You know what Derek Carr PSA 10s go for right now?
Yeah, nothing.
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 And your play was Marcus Mariota. Have you read up on what John Gruden has said about Derek Carr?
Yes. He also said some great things about Marcus Mariota.
Right. But who's the starter?
Oh, Carr, 100%, because they got way more money in him.
Who did they just draft? Who's their wide receiver? Who was your play yesterday?
Ruggs. And they got who I think – I mean, look, there's three guys who could be considered the best running back in the league. Derrick Henry's more of a power back, but I'm talking about versatile backs, like, you know, all-around backs. You got Saquon Barkley, you got Christian McCaffrey, and I think Josh Jacobs is right in there. I mean, he's third to those two. Those two guys are better, but Jacobs was a rookie last year, and I think they're really going to scheme for him this year.
Now, this isn't my typical play because this is actually a gamble, but this is how I make my gambles. This is a low-risk, high-reward gamble. You're buying into a quarterback who's a third of the price of Daniel Jones with a coach who's a Super Bowl winning coach who's put his trust in him. And now this is their second season that he has a huge fan base behind him. And you could get his PSA 10, Topps Chrome, which I actually like to look at that card. I think it's a cool-looking card with that Raiders emblem. The Raiders emblem's badass, by the way, just from like a looking perspective. For $50.
Oh, yeah.
To me, you're buying in at a very cheap discount price on a guy who, yeah, I would agree the market doesn't trust him. That's why his price hasn't gone up, where Daniel Jones, Kyler Murray, Haskins, all of these new quarterbacks have gone up. But I don't think Carr is any worse than Daniel Jones, and I think he's primed for a better season. So if it was me,
so I think the
I would buy
problem
one or two Topps
yeah,
Chromes. One or two, nothing crazy.
I like it.
That's my play.
I like it, but here I like it, and I don't like it. Right. So remember, I'm a Raider fan, so I can give you a lot of analysis on it. I think he's only had one winning season as a quarterback, and I think in that one winning season is where he got hurt, and then they weren't able to actually do anything in the playoffs. And so obviously that
sucks.
was
Agree. He's never won.
He doesn't suck. He's a very good player. And that 1 year he was, I mean, everybody thought he was turning the corner. I think these other players that you're talking about who are cost less, they're being bought on potential that they could turn into something. Now the flip side,
why they cost more.
So here's the reason why I think it makes sense. Something you didn't even touch on. It's their first year in Vegas. They have an entirely new fan base. If he goes out there and plays well, then anybody out there who you can let me get the rookie card of my quarterback. Oh, it's only $50. Okay, great. And you're right. I mean, if he does well, it's a play that could very easily. $50. Come on, $50 in cards now. In basketball, what rookie does $50 buy you?
That could become a $100 card.
Oh, easily, right? Easily. So
Kevin
I like
Knox.
it.
He doesn't even play.
Yeah, Kevin Knox, exactly. I don't think you can get a Mitchell Robinson for $50. So yeah. I mean, I listen. I like it for that reason. That's one of those weird things about cards, right? I mean, here's a guy who had a really great statistical season. He's just been on some bad teams. He hasn't been exactly lucky, but he can go out there and do a lot of the things that these top flight quarterbacks can, and he could do more than some of these rookies and second-year players that are selling for so much more, and yet the card gets no love. So I like it. That's part of what we try to bring you guys, right? Something where, it's kind of like a hidden gem, right? A card that's too low. It just doesn't make sense for it to be that low. I like it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's not that I'm in love with Derek Carr. For me, there's a lot of good pieces around him that for a $50 buy-in, it could easily double or triple if things fall into place. And I think he has pieces around him that will allow him for the pieces to fall into place. And by the way, that division, I know KC's really, really good. But I think Denver and the Chargers might have a step back year. So there's some potential to make the wild card. And that would be huge for that fan base.
I think the AFC is a little too good for the Raiders to be thinking about playoffs this year, but could be next year. And I mean, he's a guy also that, Gruden's a quarterback guy, right? And, he's given Carr a long leash, but he's the kind of guy, look what Ryan Fitzpatrick did to, regenerate and recreate his career, and Ryan Tannehill. And I think Carr's better than both of those guys. He's a different quarterback, obviously, with a different arm. But if it doesn't work with the Raiders this year, I mean, he could sign on somewhere else. I mean, it's one of those things where, for $50, it could turn into a nice long-term play also. So I like it. I like it for many reasons. I like it. So, it's amazing. Football's starting tonight. You gave a football.
It was a gift for you. I know you're a huge Raiders fan.
I like it. So I, you gave an episode title the other day, like, we zig when they zag, kind of, right? And we've talked about it when basketball playoffs started. I was giving Pokemon picks, and when the baseball started up, we were giving football picks, and now football is tonight. So what do you think I'm gonna do? I'm gonna give a hockey pick. So Luca Nation, there you go.
Like the women's tennis.
Service. No, yeah, sure. If you find some Hingis cards, specifically one where she's in a backhand pose, grunting as she delivers a backhand across the net, go for it. But if you can't find that,
a gif of a card.
Yeah, exactly. If you listen, if you can't find that,
you don't know what a gif is.
Yes, I do. It's peanut butter. It's not Peter Pan, not Skiffy. It's GIF. I put it on with jelly on on a nice piece of rye bread. So make a sandwich. So no, that's not it. Okay. So you ready for this? I put this in the same category as when we talked about when Luka was eliminated from the playoffs, and you saw his card go down, and Giannis just recently eliminated from the playoffs, and you saw his card go down, and it's kind of like an overreaction. So I have a hockey play for you guys, and it's a guy that anyone who follows hockey knows the name. Top pick, top flight guy. His name is Austin Matthews. It's spelled Auston Matthews, Matthews. And what the card we're looking at is the 2016. It's 2016-2017, but it's listed on the PSA slab as a 2016 Upper Deck Austin Matthews Young Guns YG. When we talked to Bro Namath, we talked about hockey a little bit. We saying, "Oh, what should people look for?" And I mentioned the Young Guns cards. We talked more about Connor McDavid, but this kid is good. He's played 4 years, and in each one of those years, the Leafs have been eliminated early from the playoffs. I think that's going to start to change soon. I think they're going to start to make a little bit more deep playoff runs going forward. But this is a card here. Again, it's card number 201. 2016 Upper Deck Austin Matthews Young Guns. It says Young Guns in blue right across the front of the card. I'm telling you, look for a PSA 10 because, believe it or not, the raw ones are not at that much of a discount. I'm telling you to buy a PSA 10. And I looked today and found completed auctions while hockey was still going on and before they were eliminated. I saw several auctions selling in the mid-fives, almost $600. All right, and this is when, he had a shot to continue. This is a guy who had 47 goals this year. He stays pretty healthy, plays a lot of games, but it's a card that when next season starts is going to be pushing $600. And I saw a steady decline after they were eliminated from the playoffs. And I saw one end yesterday for $360. That's a card that was in the mid to high fives. That's now $360. A card that's lost 35% of its value because he was eliminated from the playoffs. We talked about like an overreaction for people who were, hanging on to a card, hoping that it was going to be $1,000 card if the guy won, the Stanley Cup. That wasn't going to happen this year. It might happen next year. It might happen the year after. But it doesn't have to happen because what I'm telling you to do is you don't have to buy this today. You don't have to buy this tomorrow. It's a card that I think when hockey season starts up again, it'll be $500 again.
How I buy these cards You tell me if I'm wrong here. What I do is I go to eBay, I search the card, and I do save search.
Yep.
And what I do is I'm not necessarily trying to buy it now. I'm trying to buy it when I notice that it's trending back up. So you can wait on it. And when you see some people start to buy it, is when you can pick it up as well, right? You can just hit the save search button.
So, I mean, look, you can see the trend. The trend is moving down. And that's why it's not something I'm telling you have to buy today or tomorrow. The hockey players are still going on. People are still looking at hockey, although this particular guy was eliminated. And, he came out there, a lot of articles about, him saying how he was embarrassed by the way they were, again, unceremoniously exited the playoffs too early and all that other fun stuff, right? So, I think it's a card that's worth what it's worth. It's probably not worth as much as it was selling for in the high fives because that was on a playoff push and a potential. It's definitely not worth as little as it is now. And I think over the next week or two, as hockey ends, it's a card that I think you could probably, pick up in the threes, maybe low threes, especially if it's selling for $360 on eBay. You can probably find somebody on Facebook or Macari or Instagram or something who has one and was holding it in the hope that he had a long playoff run and is ready to unload it because even $360 on eBay, it's only getting you $320, right, or $315. So you can find somebody who will sell it for, for $3-ish, and it's just a steal, right? So I like the card, and just a little, if you do want to look for one now, I don't think this is going to really impact his status, but he's a guy that one of the things holding back his card value was personality issues. He's like a weird fashion guy, almost like Russell Westbrook is for basketball, right? And he wears just like odd clothes. You got to look up some of the pictures of him online. It's just, he's a personality. And
Austin Matthews.
And last year he was arrested. He was charged with like disorderly conduct. It's an interesting story, guys. If you haven't heard it, you can read it. The charges were dropped, but it's not a guy who you normally would, try to invest your money in with somebody who's a personality issue. But hockey has some interesting awards, right? Obviously, there's like the MVP award and, all the other stuff, but they give out awards. There are awards going on this whole week. And tomorrow there's an award called the
Connor Smythe Award.
Yeah, Conn Smythe, exactly. But these are different awards. So there's the Lady Bing Award is tomorrow. And it's sort of like a sportsmanship award, right? It's supposed to be like the person who's best on who shows the best mix of like skill on the ice and also gentleman-like behavior, off the ice and on the ice. Basically what it's come down to in hockey is like goal scorers that also don't have a lot of penalty minutes, right? But he's one of the 3 finalists for it. He could actually win this award tomorrow. So it's an interesting thing, right? Because here you have a guy who was, arrested. And trust me, read the story, guys. I don't want to go through it because it's better to just read it. He was arrested last year on disorderly conduct, and I'll give you a little hint this way you actually go read it. His pants wound up getting pulled down. He pulled his own pants down. There was mooning involved. It was like a whole thing, right? I don't know what they do up in Canada.
Hockey players are a different breed.
Yeah. So anyway. But now he's turned that around. The one thing that I would say would hold me back from buying this guy's cards, was that people wouldn't want to invest in him. But look, he's kind of turned it around. He didn't have a lot of penalty minutes. He's a finalist for this award. Maybe he ends up winning it. His name's in the news again. It's just one of those plays that I put in the same category. And guys, I'm looking for a Giannis Prism PSA 10 because they're nearly half of what they were. There's overreactions out there, and we talked about this. We gave the Warren Buffett line, right? We talked about, be greedy when everybody else is fearful. That applies to a broad spectrum of cards now. There's a lot of blue chip moderns, not your Kobe's, not your Michael Jordans, but your Lukas, who's going to play for a long time, and that is as blue chip as a modern gets. Your Giannis, that kind of stuff, right? Where they've been punished by overselling, by panicking, by weak hands. This card is falling into that category, and that's why I bring it to you. And, we like to give everything, right? We give a little Pokemon, we give a little football, we give a little baseball, we give a lot of basketball. Why not give you a hockey pick? And hopefully Bro Namath is listening to this. Maybe you'll comment and tell me if I did all right.
Look at it. I don't know about you guys, but I want to see a series with Cage in the courtroom. Cage in the courtroom would be an epic series. 2 things I wanted to touch on there. Cage, we brought you guys some really cool plays today. Not our typical plays.
Nope.
Hockey for Cage. I'm going quarterback hunting deep down in the budgets for Derek Carr.
Yeah, and how often is it that my pick is more expensive than yours? Not that often.
Not that often.
I did it today. So what do you got?
There was this overreaction these last 2.5 weeks with the market, and people were like, should I sell? What's going on? Prices are dropping. I just want to go on record here. Nothing's dropping. There's a mini correction, but this market is, I would say, something I heard Cage said the other day. We're at halftime. So if you look at it, and it applies to anything in marketing, there's this adoption curve. And within the adoption curve, there's the early adopters that always kind of are the first ones. They're the first ones with the iPhone, you know? They get it to show it off. Those are the collectors in the sports week. Look at my RPA. Look at this RPA. And look how scarce this. They're really there because they're so invested in this model, in this business, in this industry. Now I'm getting hit up by Instagram influencers, people that used to hold up Bang Energy or fizzy drinks, or hey, try this product, or hey, this lotion is perfect for you. That's who's hitting me up for sports card advice. So this industry isn't going anywhere, and I wouldn't worry about it for the next 6 to 12 months. Obviously, we're going to be chiming in here daily, giving you updates, but I couldn't be more happy with the maturity of the market. And the second thing that I've noticed is these blue chip stocks, now they're going to start getting bought up by accredited investors. So you saw a dip on the Giannis, you saw a dip on Topps Chrome LeBron. I expect in the next 3 to 4 weeks, those prices are going to return back to normal. And I actually think they're going to, in stocks, there's this thing called resistance. It breaks through the resistance. And that's what I expect. It hit a floor, and now the next 4 to 6 weeks, I expect those two plays specifically to set new highs. And I think the Topps Chrome is really just an underpriced card. And I just want to jump in there and share that.
I like the analysis, Rand, but you got to remember sometimes it's rare and it takes the force, but sometimes the resistance wins. Just ask Luke Skywalker. But other than that, you're right. I mean, it's I like your analysis. And I think what we should do for Luca Nation is I think we should do an episode on this, in the next couple of days, because I'm getting a lot of texts, a lot of messages about that. Like, I bought in a lot the last month. Did I buy at the wrong time? Did I buy at the peak? And we should talk about this with everybody. And I'm completely in agreement with you. I will tell people to look at historical charts like you would with a stock, right? The 2-year, the 5-year, the 10-year, right? And you'll see that it's not a straight shot up ever. Sure, there are 1-year and 2-year periods where it goes straight up, but then it retraces, then it corrects, it goes back a little bit, and then it continues on its way up, especially if it's a good asset, right? So, I mean, I tell people to look at what happened in February. Lots of cards took steps back, right? I mean, I'll tell you guys, personally, I think I might have mentioned this in other episodes, but, going into February, the Luca Prism Silver was like a $2,000 or $2,500 card, $3,000 card, whatever it was. And I was able to buy one, right when the COVID craziness started and people started to panic. I was able to buy one for $1,250.
That was March, brother. But yeah, you're
March.
Right.
It was in March. So February it started. Everybody's starting to worry. And then March.
I couldn't sell my Luca Prism for $400. I couldn't sell it.
So I mean those were higher. They came down a little bit, and look where it's gone since, right? And yes, it's kind of taken a pause and crested and come down a little bit too. But I forget who it was. I think the card ladders, and maybe it was the House of Jordans. They put up cool graphics also. And
sure.
The further out you expand the chart, the chart looks bad over the last month. It doesn't look so spectacular over the last 2 months. You get out to 6 months, and all of a sudden that little correction at the end of it is a blip, right? The market has gone up so much. So let's do that for our listeners. Let's sometime in the next couple of days, let's do kind of like a market report and what we see, and bring some historical data to it just to kind of calm everybody down. All right.
And it's well along the lines of kind of my dream and my vision for this podcast. I want us to be in the Barstool Network. And I don't think we're just going to have a daily place show. I think we're going to add different shows and different takes. And I'm really excited for what the future holds. So absolutely, we should do that.
So listen.
Also, it's super interesting. I love people like you. So see, you're on a lag. So Cage is the type of guy, right? So about 3 weeks ago, I say, Cage, maybe we get you a better headset. So the dude, he pulls out like a $5 headset. Cool. That one doesn't work. So he's like, I got you. I'm going to order a $300 headset. Where this time, just a simple set of Apple AirPods would be more than sufficient.
I'm sorry,
He's just
my
staring at
headphones
me.
my headphones didn't work. I couldn't hear what you said. You said something? I'm just messing with you. Listen, all good. As long as you can hear me, as long as Luca Nation can hear me, that's all that matters. Thank you for spending some time with us on another episode of the Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze Oh My podcast. Do us a favor and like, subscribe. You know what? Don't just like and subscribe. Everybody does that. If you like us, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, tell everybody. And we hope you got something from spending some time with us today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.